Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. It looks like most of you guys have enrolled in Data Camp and have accepted your invitation, which is great. I think maybe 5 of you haven't fully enrolled in whatever, but other than that, we should be good. And then and the first assignment is Introduction to Git. And it looks like about a quarter of you have completed it. Please try to aim to have that done by, well, the due date is April 5th, okay? So you have a couple days left. And it will kind of guide you through all of the Git commands at the command line, which is, I imagine, how most people use Git. And so that's a good exercise for you guys to go through, okay? And then I'll add more assignments here, and I'm still writing up your first actual real homework assignment. Okay, so I left off, I've created this repository on Git, and it looks like several of you have created forks, and we'll have to talk about other stuff that you'll want to include and things. But this is what we have, and today I thought I would spend some time demonstrating how the Git kind of works with just some simple files here, okay? And then let me just kind of make sure that you guys are able to respond. Okay, that looks good. You guys are responding there. Okay, so right now, this is my local. It's hard to see. Let me just choose large icons. Okay, this is my folder. It's my 2019 Spring Stats 131, and this is a local folder on my computer that's physically present here, and I can make changes to it. Okay, you will do this through the terminal or on Git Bash if you're on a Windows machine like me. And so I'm going to go ahead and open Git Bash, and it will look something like this, and it tells me, the folder that I'm in, and here it says master, meaning I'm on the master branch, okay? And, oftentimes the very first thing I'll type in will be Git Status, and this will just kind of let me know what's in my folder, what exists, and stuff like that. And right now it just says you're on branch master, your branch is up to date with origin master, okay? And there's nothing to commit, working tree clean. So origin master kind of refers to the remote repository that is here on GitHub, and it indicates that everything is kind of up to date here. There's nothing to commit, working on tree clean, okay? Now, let's say this is not the normal way that we would go about it, okay? But here, while I'm on the remote repository, I can create a new file directly, okay? So this I'll just call file1.txt, and then here I will just say title file1.txt, and I'll just write my favorite days of the week, okay? And then number 1, I don't know, we'll put Sunday. All right. So we'll go ahead and we'll put that in there, and okay, and then and in order to make these changes and save them to the repository, we have to do a commit, okay? So I'm going to just go ahead and we'll call this, create file1.txt, and then and that's fine, okay? So that will be our commit, and I'm going to go ahead and click commit new file. Okay, and so so here we can see that the GitHub now reflects that I have 3 commits, okay? Where one is, I modified the README file, and this is the changes that happened in that commit. And over here we can see that I've created a new file, and I've added all of these lines there, okay? So we can see we've got 3 commits, and if I come over here, what I'll want to do is right now, okay, Okay. There's not much. The file doesn't appear here. Okay. So what I can do is I can either fetch or pull. So what I'll go ahead and is I'll call Git Pull, and this will contact the kind of remote server, and it will recognize that there's a change, okay, and it merges that change, okay. So here it says file1.txt. You've added some lines, and so so now when I look at my folder, file1 appears here, and if I open it up, indeed, it's got file1 in here. Okay, so here I'm kind of pulling the updates, and it shows up. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just make some additional changes here, and we'll do we'll say Saturday and Friday, and I don't know what's the next best day. This is hard. Okay. All right, so we'll go ahead and we'll add these lines here. And I'm going to go ahead, I guess, you know, when I make these changes, I'll go ahead and I'll just click the Save button, okay? And so the change has been saved. I didn't realize Windows makes all these little previews here. And it saves the changes accordingly to, the changes have been made to the file, okay? However, if I check here, and I ask for Git Status, it's going to tell me that file1 has been modified. Okay, and so these are changes that have been made to the file, but they haven't been committed. Okay, and so if I want to commit these changes, I would then go and do Git Commit. You have to include a message, and I'm going to just say updated file1 with more days. Okay. Oops, I'm sorry. That was a mistake. Okay, so there was nothing to commit because I hadn't staged any of the changes. So I'm sorry. The process to commit changes is you have to add or you stage the change, and in this case I'm going to stage just the one change that I've made, which is to file1. So I'm going to have to do git add, and I type in file1, okay, and this will if I check Git Status, it will say this is the change that's ready to be committed. The file1 has been modified, it's ready to be committed, and then I can go ahead and do Git Commit made changes to file1.txt. Okay, so we go ahead and do that, and it has made a change. Okay, over here it doesn't look like anything has happened because nothing really has happened. All we've done is we've updated the repository. Okay, you can check this by doing Git Log. Okay, and the log notes all of the commits that have happened. Okay, we have the initial commit, we modified the README file, we created file1. This happened at origin master. Okay, and then on our local machine we made a change to file1.txt. Okay, so origin master refers to the remote repository that exists on the GitHub server. Okay, and so if we want the GitHub server to reflect the changes that we've made, okay, where file1 now has you know, these days, Sunday, Saturday, Friday, and Wednesday, if we want the remote server to reflect that, because right now if we check the remote server on GitHub, it doesn't include that, we have to push these changes back to the remote server. Okay, so so if we check the Git log, it shows like this. So then what I will do is I will click Git, type in Git push, and it will push these changes again. And it will talk to the internet. Okay, and now if I refresh this, it now contains the kind of the message from the last commit, which said made changes to file 1.txt, and it now includes the updates that I have made. Okay, and if I check the log, if I click Git Log, okay, now you can see that your local machine, this is on branch master, this is where our head is pointing, and all of the remote servers, the origin master and origin head, all are at the same commit hash. Okay, so that just indicates that everything has been updated accordingly. Okay. Again, in order to be able to push and pull changes, okay, or really to push them, you need to set up an SSH key on your machine so that the remote server recognizes your device as being authorized to make these changes. Okay, and so again, check the CCLE page for instructions on how to create a new SSH key and put that SSH key into your GitHub account. Okay, otherwise you won't be able to do the pushing and the pulling and all of that. All right, so let me just kind of demonstrate a few other things. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just go ahead and make a new file. I'm going to click. So in Windows, I can just right-click somewhere in here and type new text document or something like that. That's one way to create a new file. Another is, you can just open up the notepad and then create a new file and save it in there. And then, if you just want to do it directly from within the kind of the console, you can use, you can call the command touch, and touch just, all it does is it either produces a file if it doesn't exist, or if there is a file, if you just do touch, it just changes the status to having been modified. Okay, so here I'm going to go ahead and just do touch, and I'm going to call this file2.txt, and this will just produce a blank file. Okay, file2.txt is completely empty. There's nothing in it. Okay, it looks like this. There's absolutely nothing in it. But that's what touch file2 does. Okay. And if I type in Git Status now, it will say, here are untracked changes. File 2 has been kind of basically created here, okay? And this says it's an untracked file, okay? Meaning file 1 exists in the repository, okay? And if I make another change to it, so here in file 1, I'm going to go ahead and just list off my 5th favorite day, which, what do I say, Thursday? I guess that'll be, all right, we'll go ahead and make the definitive list of days of the week, and I don't know if you guys disagree. Okay, maybe Saturday and Sunday, these are, okay. But, all right, so this is what we've got. We'll go ahead and I will save that. And then file 2 is empty, and we'll close this out. And if I ask, so I've created file 2, which is completely empty, and I've also modified file 1, and if I ask for Git Status, it's going to tell me that file 1 has been modified and file 2 is an untracked file, okay? Now you can do more stuff, okay? And I can just do something like git reset -- hard, okay? I think. And this will push, make, let me just double check. Okay, git reset hard. I use git reset hard. Okay, so git reset hard, I'm pretty sure what it will do is it will just undo anything that I've changed on my computer back to the previous commit, okay? So if we just think, like, what I changed from the previous commit is I think I ended at Wednesday and I didn't have Thursday, Tuesday, or Monday here, right? There's a way to kind of check this, and you can just ask for Git Diff. Okay, and so Git Diff tells me what has happened, okay, which says you have added these lines, okay. Well, it says we deleted this line that had Wednesday, which had no new line at the end of the file, and we added these lines which had Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Monday, okay. And so Git Diff tells us what has changed since our last commit, okay. And again, Git Status just kind of says that these are the changes that it's tracking. And I think if I did Git Reset, I'm going to go ahead and try this. Git Reset hard. Okay. It has now undone these changes. And so if I open file 1 back up, it has undone the changes that I've made to it. Okay. So even though I had saved it on my computer, when you do a hard reset, it will undo any changes that you've made, okay? File 2 still exists, and the reason for that is that file 2 is classified as an untracked file, okay? Once I had added it to the repository, then Git will feel kind of responsible for it, and it will, make changes or undo changes and things like that. But while it's untracked, Git doesn't try to manage that. Okay, so because I did a hard reset, here everything is up to date, but it says file 2 is untracked. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to add file 2. Okay, so I'm going to do add file2.txt, and then we'll go ahead and commit that with a message, and we'll say added file 2. Or maybe I'll call this created. Okay, so that is now there, and so Git Status has everything, and then we'll go ahead and we'll put this back in here, and we'll say we want to have, I forget, Thursday, Tuesday, and Monday. Okay, so we'll go ahead and we'll save that. We'll close this off. We ask Git Status, and it says we've modified file 1. You know what, let's go ahead and come here for file 2, and I'll just write, this is file2.txt, and what we'll call this, my favorite classes to teach. All right, so what is that? I don't know, it's hard to rank these. All right, so we've got stats 131 and stats 102A and stats 102B and stats 102C, and I don't know how to rank these. All right, all equally. Okay, so we'll go ahead and we'll modify the folder file like this. Okay, and so when I go to Git and I ask for the status, it tells me that file 1 and file 2 both have been modified. Okay, and so you could do git add file 1 to stage the change for file 1, commit that, and you could do git add file 2, stage the change for that, and add that. Totally fine. Or you could just say, let's add both of these, okay, and you can just do git add dot or git add dash a. This will do all of them. So git add dot will stage both of those changes. Okay, so you can say git status, and now it says both of these changes are ready to be committed. Okay, changes to be committed, and we'll go ahead and do git commit, and we'll just say modified file 1 and file 2. Okay. And there we go. And if we check status, now everything is up to date. Okay, and if we check our Git log, what we have is that it's got the log of all the things that we've done, right? So we created file 1, we made changes to file 1, and that's what's currently reflected on the remote repository on GitHub. And then since then, on my local computer, I've created file 2, and then I did another commit where I've modified file 1 and file 2. Okay, and that's where I have here. And so if I want to change, push all of these things up, we'll go ahead and do git push. All right, and so this will push these up to the up to GitHub. And so if I refresh this, I have file 1 and file 2, and all of the commits on my local machine repository appear and have been pushed to the server. Okay, and so we can go back and we can kind of just take a look at, you know, what happened here and what happened here and all of this kind of stuff, right? If for whatever reason we need to go back in time, okay, you can run a revert. Okay, so generally this is not something you ever want to do. Okay, generally you want to be cautious about commits. Like when you commit something, then that means you committed it, right? You don't make commitments that you don't want to keep. And so these are supposed to be like when you commit a change, you're supposed to stand by it, okay? But if for some reason you need to undo it, okay, you can look up Git Revert, okay? And I hardly ever use this, so I forget. Yeah, okay, Git Revert head ~3. Okay, so Git Revert, again, this is not something that's a common thing, but it can be done. The option does exist where you can roll back a change. So we can do Git Revert head ~2, okay? Tilde means go back, head ~1 would be go back to one previous commit, head ~2 would go back 2 previous commits. So if we check the kind of the log, head ~2 would undo this one, modified file 1 and file 2, and would undo, I believe, this one as well, so we're going to go back to before we even created file 2, where I've listed off my favorite classes. Okay, so right now in my folder I have file 1, which has the ranking of the days of the week, and file 2 has my list of favorite classes to teach. And here I'm going to go ahead and do Git Revert head ~2, say go back 2 commits. It says it could not revert this. Hint, after resolving the conflicts. I'm not quite sure. Okay. All right. Okay, so I'm at reverting, but it doesn't like it. Revert -n, revert the changes done by commits from the, okay. All right. I'm trying to do stuff that I never do. And of course, I don't know what I'm doing here. Okay, let me just try to undo this and just do git checkout master. Or you need to resolve your current index first. Shoot. After resolving, both modified. All right, I'm gonna just do git revert abort because I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm sorry. There is a way to do it. I just don't know how to do it. I know the command exists, but let's see. All right, if you need to revert some kind of commit, you're gonna have to read the documentation on revert, because I know the command exists. It's generally not something you do. Okay, generally the commits that you make are changes that you stand by. The resets are a lot more common. It's like you've made some changes and you say, well, I don't like these things. I want to go back to how it was before. You can do a git reset. Okay, but once you've made a commit, it is possible to roll them back. But as you can see, I'm not quite sure how it works. So I apologize for that. But I do know the command exists. It's not something I generally do. Okay, so anyway, we're here we are, Git status. Okay, so I've got file 1, which lists off the days of the week. And I've got file 2, which lists off some of my favorite classes. And let's say this were some kind of website or something, and you want to propose making changes, but you don't want to publish those changes publicly. Okay. So in that case, what you're going to want to do is you'll want to create a branch, okay? And a branch will take your current repository and basically copy it, but creates a branch that you can work on, make changes, commit those changes, and then finally, when you're happy with those changes and modifications, you can merge the changes back into the master, okay? And so right now, if I type in git branch, it will list off the branches that exist. And right now, there's only one branch, and that's master. So it's not even a branch. It's just kind of the one thing to work on, and that's master. So here, I can just create git branch, and we'll call this proposed, okay? And so this will create a new branch called proposed. So if I list off git branch, it's going to say master and it's going to say proposed, okay? And what you can do is you can do git checkout proposed, okay? So you just type in the name of the branch that you want to check out, okay? And so when I do this and I do git checkout proposed, okay? All we see over here, it used to say master, master, master. Now I'm on the proposed branch, okay? And so here I can just do git, if I type in git branch, it lists off the branches that I have. I've got master and I've got proposed, but you can see the star appears next to proposed to indicate that I'm on the proposed branch, okay? And so here we're on proposed, okay. So on in the proposed branch, let's say I'm gonna just write I propose whatever. I don't know. So I think maybe all right, maybe stats 101C and stats 101A. Okay, so we'll go ahead and put that in there. All right. So this is what I'm proposing to put. Okay, and I'm not. So that appears on git on the proposed branch, right? So if I type in git status, okay, it says file 2 has been changed. Okay, so we'll go ahead and add that, and to just add all of the changes you've made, you type in git add, and we're going to do git commit -m, and we'll say. We'll just say added a line to file 2, okay? And so we've done that. So if I check git status, it will tell me that I'm on branch proposed and there's nothing to commit, okay? So this is, here we are, you can't tell in Windows, okay? But we're on the proposed branch, okay? If I do git branch, we can see that we have master and proposed, and we're currently on proposed. And again, if I open up file 2, it says, it has this line that says maybe stats 101C and stats 101A. Okay. if I come back here and I do git checkout, okay, git checkout master, this will switch me back to the master branch, okay? And in the background, without us even seeing it, it changes file 2 back to the master branch, okay? So this file is as it appears on the master branch, okay? And again, I come back here and I do git checkout proposed, okay? And I go back to my file here, and if I open it back up, it's back to my proposed branch, okay? And so, whoops. So you can have kind of the master version that exists on the website that's being published out into the world, okay? And you can have the, you'd be working on something else where you're modifying changes, proposing changes, and then when you're satisfied with those final changes, then you can merge those back, okay? So, so here we're on git proposed. So I'm going to go back to git checkout master. Okay. And so let's say we're happy with the changes that have been made to propose. We'll do git merge with proposed. Okay, so while we're on the master branch, we're going to merge the master branch with the proposed branch, okay? And the merge, okay, will note the differences between the two branches, and it will do its best to combine them, okay? And if it can combine them, a lot of times what it will do is it will just look line by line what has changed, whether lines have been added or lines have been deleted, and it will go line by line and kind of merge those changes. And if there's no conflicts, then it merges the two. And so now, if I check here, we have merged the branch, the proposed branch to the master. And so here we're on master now, and we could see that file 2 now reflects the changes that were made and proposed and have now been merged back into master. Is that okay? What has happened here? Okay, and then so again, now that we are here, we can do just kind of check git status, and then we'll go ahead and we'll push all of these changes up to the up to GitHub. Okay. You can also, so if I do git branch, okay, we're on master, you can push, I think, okay, so if I try to make a push while I'm on the proposed branch, okay, it tells me that there is no upstream branch, okay? And what that means is that on the GitHub server, okay, there's only one branch, and that's branch master, okay? And so because what it does is it sees the proposed branch as something entirely separate, okay? It sees it as a separate branch. And if you want to actually push the proposed branch up to it, you need to use this option that's called set upstream. I think -u is a kind of a shortcut for that. But you can say git push, and you're going to set the upstream branch, meaning the branch that exists on the remote server, and origin kind of being the alias for GitHub, and this is going to be the name of the branch that exists on the on the upstream branch as well. Okay, so I can do git push -- set upstream origin proposed. Okay, and so we go ahead and we do that, and it will push this and set up an upstream there. Okay, so branch proposed, set up a new remote branch called proposed. And so if I refresh this, now it recognizes that we have two branches. Okay, and we have the master branch and the proposed branch. Okay, and so so you can do that. Again, checking status, you're on proposed, and it will say your branch is up to date with origin proposed, whereas before it used to say you're up to date with origin master. Okay, and again, I'll just kind of switch back to check out master, and it says we're up to date with origin master, and we can just kind of do a pull or a fetch. If new branches have been created on the remote server, then the only way to kind of get those is through the fetch command there. And just okay, and so Git is pretty good about handling a lot of kind of merging issues. But if you have two people working on the same file and someone's adding stuff over here and deleting stuff over here, and someone else has a different branch and they're working on the same file and adding stuff and deleting stuff, you can run into something called a merge conflict. Okay, and Git merge conflicts can be difficult to resolve sometimes. All right, and so you'll get I think the data camp stuff gives like a very simple example of a merge conflict, and unfortunately, merge conflicts with Git will break IPython notebooks, Jupyter notebooks. Okay, and so in the kind of the remainder of the class, when we start working with Python, we will be creating these things called Jupyter notebooks. Okay, they're similar to R Markdown files, except they can handle Python. You can also do them with R, and they have native compatibility with GitHub, in that when you publish a Jupyter notebook to GitHub, GitHub will render it and people can read it and stuff like that. But the only problem is that if you have a merge conflict with a Jupyter notebook and Git, it kind of breaks the entire notebook. And so one thing that you'll want to download and install is what's called Notebook Diff and Merge. Okay, it's NBDIME. Okay, standing for Notebook Diff and Merge. And I strongly recommend getting this, and this will help prevent kind of your thing from breaking. Okay, so if you try to do handle a diff or do some kind of handle a merge conflict with the regular old Git Diff tool, okay, it's going to look like garbage. Okay, whereas NBDIME gives you kind of some awareness. Okay, this gives you some instructions on how to install this, although I don't think you've installed Anaconda yet on your machines, so so you won't be able to do this. Okay, in our next class, I'm going to start talking. We're going to start covering Python. This is kind of ends our quick intro to Git, and then you've got your Git homework on Data Camp, and I'm hoping you set up your GitHub accounts and you set up your computers to be able to upload and synchronize and stuff, push changes to your GitHub. And on Friday, we're going to start talking Python, okay? And so if you want to follow along, then what I encourage you to do, and people have different opinions about which distributions to use. I think Anaconda Python is a simple way to get kind of all the tools you need going, okay? So you go on to the internet, search for Anaconda Python, okay? And you're gonna just go over to Anaconda. You're gonna come over and you're gonna click download, and then just download, Python 3.7 version, okay? The Python 3 version, whether it's for Windows or Mac or whatever machine you're using, and you're going to click download and install that. And hold on, you guys. There's a few things. Once you install Anaconda, and I guess we'll talk more about this on Friday, you've got the Anaconda Navigator, and this is kind of like a click interface to get started. But I'm a fan more of just using the prompt, okay? And so if you're on a Windows machine, you'll use the Anaconda prompt. Sometimes you need to run it as administrator, and if you're on a Mac, you can just open up the terminal to get the Anaconda prompt going. But Anaconda Navigator, it takes a little bit of time to load up, but it will start. And our primary tool that we're going to use will be Jupyter, which creates notebooks that we can use. But there's other stuff that comes with Anaconda Navigator. You've got just the IPython console and this thing called Spider, which looks kind of like RStudio. You can also install RStudio itself, and different sort of things, okay? Jupyter actually stands for Julia, Python, and R, okay? And it handles 3 different languages, but the default is Python, and so that's what we're going to be using. But yeah, you can go ahead and try downloading Anaconda and installing that on your machine, and then we can start getting into some basic Python stuff on Friday. Okay. All right. We'll end there for today. Make sure you do your Git homework assignment on Data Camp, and we'll see you guys on Friday.